So, this is my dilemma. I did a great job. This thing is like fucking awesome how it came out. Had to tweak it a little bit, bending it and hammering it. But my belt is significantly too long now, and it's not because of the alternator. I realize this is the argument I had with the guy who sold me the water pump. It just, for some reason, they changed where the where the water pump pulley sits, and I think it's to get more indirect, in the middle of the radiator, because this is really a 1950 engine, 50 to 52. It is a different water pump than the 40 to 49. And after doing all my math, I'm like, wait a minute, they had me go from the front of the other bracket, so I moved it out 3/8. It was supposed to be right, but it ends up being it's another 3/8 because the old generator was on top of the bracket instead of behind it. So this one would, normally I was looking to put it behind, but I think what I'm going to do now, since I only need 3/8 of an inch, I'm going to take this, those bolts right there. I'm going to elongate the holes and try to slide it up another 3/8 of an inch. I just don't know if I have the room. I gotta look and see what's going on here. But hang on. Honestly, it's not really looking like I can go up further. I can trim the bracket maybe a little bit, but it really might be all I need. Because this is where, see, where it actually works out to be pretty even is when the front of this is even with this, which is, it's already out 3/8 of an inch, but it would have to been 3/8 of an inch before, and that's what I noticed. But I didn't realize that the alternator was, they were telling you in the instructions to compare the depth here with this, and now I use the original pulley. I don't think it matters too much, but this is, when it's flush, it's more on target, and when you put it behind here, I got a bungee cord holding this fucking thing. I really, on the belt over there, to put tension on it since it's so extra long now. But if I put it behind here, then I'm 3/8 of an inch off. So I got to try to put the bracket that way. I just don't know. Doesn't look like I have that much. I mean, I could technically, I don't know if I can grind the water pump, a little piece of it. I forgot what I was looking at just now. But the weld came on great. It really did. I was really proud of myself. But unless I take the original piece, weld it to the front there, and then cut that off. It's the same thing I did, but I just think it's going to start losing the integrity then. Hard to say if I have 3/8 of an inch there. God damn it. Hard to see. That's pretty close. Maybe I'll have a little bit of room. As much as I want to space out the pulley, I got the longest spacer on it that I can, and there's, going to end up being no threads, holding it. I just can't get up there. Very hard place to look. for a while. But so I got a new water pump, new thermostat. I made my own oil filter housing. I increased the size of the lines. I started running the alternator wire here because that's gonna go on the. Yeah, I got this. Got new fuel pump, filter hoses. The new line coming into the pump because that was fucked up. New high torque starter, 12 volt, all 12 volt Pertronics in here. New coil. It was originally mounted up here, and these are the wires. I put it here because the 50s engine had it on the block. I'm gonna make probably a bracket coming off both valve cover bolts to hold this wire up since it's so big. You know, obviously I don't want it to hit anything. But it's gonna go from the starter, and then from the starter I'll go to the battery. Not sure what battery I'll put yet. These are, I went from the small 3/16 line all the way up to a 1/4 inch line for the oil. Hopefully it's not going to deplete the oil pressure. Ends up being that these were the plugs that were in this engine, and like I said, it's a 50s engine, but I was only going to buy a 50s engine, a spark plug, because I didn't see anything, you know, for sale. It's a good thing I didn't take these out and then get new ones, because in the end they listed the ones for the 50s car, and they protrude out way more than this. And that's why the guy was like, yeah, he got it to cough, but that's about it. I'm like, it should run. This motor's too clean. Somebody did work to this. I can't see it having a ton of mileage. I don't know if this carburetor is going to be any good, but, you know, we'll figure that out. And, like I said, new water pump. A heater hose fitting coming off the water pump is new right there. And I'm in the middle of ordering parts for the clutch. I'm redoing the clutch and the brake rods because they were so fucking worn out. I'm going with Heim joints. Pretty much anything that was a rod was just cold steel. And all these things. This is with the brake rod. You know, I had to grind it to get it off because the fucking cotter pin was fucked up. But yeah, this is the clutch rod. A guy wants $25 for this plus shipping, which is not bad. But because I'm kind of having bigger rods kind of in the way, it's kind of protruding. I had grinded a bracket already. Plus, you know, I didn't have. This is the original ball for the Z-bar. I put a shorter one. I put one of these guys. This is all they have. Somebody had the bigger one, but in the end, the bracket that I put, this bracket, it says it's for this car and everything. You can see mine is cracked. It's pretty wild. That's why this was so fucking loose. Really wasn't in that bad a shape, but the bearing was worn on one side. I think it was this side. So I got a new bearing coming. This bracket is much bigger, and this thing is deeper. And I think they just said that they rather have, you know, it looks like they redesigned it. And if you go with a bigger ball here, because it's like sitting up here, then this one would stand the cause to be smaller, because I put the original one in and it was too tight. I couldn't fit it in. You know, you can see this one is significantly shorter. I had to buy a fucking pack of 3. The other one's on the car. The brakes came out pretty good. All that stuff, you know. But yeah, this is the clutch rod. Haha. Fucking cotter pin holding that in. And this side doesn't look like it's that worn, but if you go in the hole of the clutch rod, the clutch rod is elongated on both ends. So I'd rather put a nut in a bolt with a Heim joint, and I think it'll never go bad. So, and I just got to figure out this alternator shit. Hopefully I can get it to move another 3/8 of an inch roughly. And then I'll have some alternator wiring and starter wiring and a new ignition switch, because I'm not going to use all the old stuff. Not that I couldn't, it's just that it's hooked up with the gas pedal. I don't want that anymore. I just want to turn a key and go like anything else. Too much headache to hit the gas pedal and it just magically starts to crank. So that's about it. So far so good.